Let's just bow our heads for a moment. Lord, please speak to us, either through me or in spite of me. But in this day, we need to hear your voice in our hearts, for our lives, and for your glory. Amen. I would like to take as our text for today the Old Testament reading, and also the New Testament reading. Old Testament reading in Isaiah 40, where it says, "The youths grow weary and tired, and vigorous young men stumble badly. Yet those who wait for the Lord will gain new strength. They will mount up with wings like eagles. They will run and not get tired. They will walk and not become weary." And the New Testament lesson was about the baptism of Jesus, where there was a voice from heaven saying, "This is my beloved. This is my beloved." Isn't it beautiful? I would like to talk to you about the theme of being an agent of change and not a victim. In this year, be an agent of change, not a victim. Noam Brodsky said, "Either you are an agent of change, or you're destined to be a victim of change. You simply can't survive in the long term if you insist on standing still." Changes are inevitable. Everything is changing. Changes come to us whether we are prepared for it or not, and our lives are in a constant state of transition. Life is always moving forward. Nothing ever remains the same. To move forward, you have to leave the past behind. There's no standing still, because time is moving forward all the time. So, the good news is, this year, there will be changes. The bad news is, we have no idea what. Health may give place to sickness. Pleasure may give place to pain. Plenty may give place to poverty. Love may give place to enmity. And honor may give place to disgrace. Strength may give place to weakness. And life, well, it may give place to death. Hopefully not. But this process of change never ends until the day that we die. And even then, it doesn't change that much. With 2016 ahead of us, we are sure of one thing, and that is things might change, will change. The problem is how to handle change, how to adapt to change. And that's where some people fall victim to change. And they suffer under the change. In today's scripture lesson, the New Testament lesson, we read of John, the baptizer, and Jesus at a very crucial point of change in both their lives. Jesus at the beginning of his ministry. And the baptism is a threshold between the old and the new. The beginning of his public ministry. My question is, if I look at this passage in the New Testament, how did he handle change? And when I look at that, I realize that he was an agent of change. Although there were many changes in his life afterwards, he was like an eagle soaring. He was a victor. But also he was one that could take that change, and he could change others through that. Eagle people, I call that. John the same. In the Old Testament, we get Abraham, we get Joseph, we get so many, Moses. There are 4 kinds of changes we all face in our lives. There are the changes that happen to us. Changes that affect our personal lives, our family, our career, so many things. And then there are those changes that happen around us. We don't have much control over that. Changes that affect our society, our nation, our world. It has an impact on us personally, maybe. But then there are those changes that happen inside of us, within us. Those changes maybe that affect ourselves physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. When you are aging, your body feels it. You cannot run as fast as you could. And then there are those changes that happen through us. And this is where we are at. The changes around us, we don't have much control over that. But all of that goes inside of us, and it affects us inside. And what happens inside will affect what happens through us. Things happen to us, so that things can happen within us, so that things can happen through us. And that is where we become change agents. We don't have much control about those things that happen to us, but those things should make something happen inside of us. When things happen inside of us, when things change inside of us, things can change through us. Then we become change agents. And today and next week, I would like to concentrate on a very practical image of change agents. And that is the image that we read from in the Old Testament lesson today. The image of an eagle. The example of the eagle has always touched my heart. I'm always amazed by eagles in flight. It's majestic. It's fantastic. And the first thing that I would like us to concentrate on today is an agent of change knows who he is or she is. Agents of change know who they are. To illustrate that, I would like to tell a story. We like stories, don't we? It's a story that I read of in a book by Chuck and Nancy Misler, Faith in the Night Seasons. They start their book with the story of a wounded eaglet that was rescued by a farmer. He found the bird in one of his fields and so took him home, tended to his wounds, and then placed him outside in the barnyard to recover. Strangely enough, the young eaglet soon adapted the habits of the barnyard chickens. He learned how to walk like a chicken. He learned how to cluck like a chicken. He learned how to drink like a chicken and to peck the dirt for food like a chicken. And for many years, he resigned himself to the peaceful life in the barnyard on the ground. It was cozy. It was comfortable. He never had to spread his wings or to jump from a cliff or to soar in the heights. Life in the chicken coop was wonderful. It was a cuddling situation, very much like church, isn't it? And then one day, one of the farmer's friends spotted the eagle and he asked, "Why in the world is that bird acting like a chicken?" Well, the farmer explained to him, "Well, this is what happened." The man was disturbed. "It's not right," he said. "The Creator made this bird to soar in the heavens, not to be in a barnyard." So he picked up the eagle and went to a nearby fence and tossed the unexpected eagle in the air. This poor eagle didn't know what hit him. So he was so confused, and he just fell back on the earth, searched for his favorite friends, and it was chicken time again. So the man once again grabbed the eagle. He climbed to the top of the barn, top of the roof. And then he heaved him off the roof. And the bird made a few half-hearted squirks and flaps, and then hey to again. He made himself comfortable amongst the chickens and began mindlessly pecking at the pieces of straw. Well, this friend was really disturbed by then. And so the next morning, he took this eagle to the top of the nearby mountain, where the sky unfolded in limitless horizon. And he looked the eagle in his eyes, and he said, "Don't you understand? You weren't made to live like a chicken. Why would you want to stay down when you were born for the sky?" And as the man held the confused bird, he made sure the eagle was facing into the bright light and into the sky. And so he heaved him into the sky. And this time, the eagle opened his wings, looked at the sun, caught the updraft rising from the valley, and disappeared into the clouds of heaven. I think sometimes we need that somebody to look us in the eye and tell us, "You're not a chicken. You're not a chicken. Why are you with the chickens? Why are you there where it's so comfortable?" And sometimes, just sometimes, God kicks us out of the comfort of the barnyard, and we are confused. We don't know what's happening. You see, Helen Keller once said, "One can never consent to creep when he feels an impulse to soar." It was the day of Jesus' baptism. And there came a voice from heaven. "This is my Son, my beloved." I think Jesus needed to hear that. Why? Wasn't he the Son of God? Yeah. Wasn't he the Son of the Almighty, all-powerful God? Wasn't he God? Yes, he still had to hear, "You're not a chicken. You're my beloved." Henry Nouwen wrote that wonderful book, The Beloved. And in it he said, "I kept running around in large and small circles, always looking for someone or something able to convince me of my belovedness. You see, self-rejection is so much part of who we are. It's the greatest enemy of the spiritual life because it contradicts the sacred voice that calls us the beloved. Being the beloved expresses the core truth of our existence. Also Henry Nouwen. And yet we constantly live under the curse of self-rejection by our sinfulness, our guilt, and our shame. We are shadowed by our infirmities, our failures, our disappointments, and so we keep life on in the chicken fold because it's so comfortable. We don't have to use our wings. When the storm rages over there, we are safe, we are okay. And that's all we are, safe. And at some point, God comes and he calls us by our name. And he says, he looks us in the eye. And he says, I've called you by your name. Don't you know that you're not a chicken? Don't you know that all the experiences I have invested everything in you to be an eagle, to soar in the wind? Know who you are. You are my beloved. Wow, that changes everything. You are mine. You are an eagle. And eagles are agents of change. Eagles take the change, take the wind, and they soar above it. Eagles. That's you. Changes will happen, but you will also happen. You don't need to be a victim of changes. As eagles, you are able to soar high above the storm. So, agents of change know who they are. Happy soaring. Amen.